Hey up and welcome back to another episode of the Rugby League Outsiders. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl.
And this week we're going to loop back to a lot of stories that we've had in the last series, including Midlands-born rugby league player who's just signed a contract with the Super League club. More on that in a minute. And we're also going to talk about the League One final, which Karl was fortunate enough to get across and watch that, and he's going to fill us in on that as well. We've also got other stories in our set of six from around the region and the wider game outside the heartlands. And we're also going to do, so stay tuned, our little prediction round for the Super League playoffs, semi-finals.
What could go wrong? We've only got 2 games to go at.
I could still mess it up. Okay, so we'll dive straight in. So, Karl, what have you got for tackle one?
Okay, so Midlands, well, not Midlands, Rep Footy has been back. We had a couple of weeks ago now, the Southern Lionhearts tournament took place, so you had 4 teams taking part in that. Whoever it was like a trial game, but they're also representing their individual counties. So we had the Midlands, we had London, the East and the West all sort of played each other.
Yeah.
London came out on top, which I'm not that surprised about, seeing the standard of rugby league in London at the minute. It's really high. But it was really close. Midlands and the East both finished on 1 win and 1 draw, and the West came bottom of the pile for that.
Okay, and part of the coaching team at the Midlands development side is Martin Foskett, who's also a coach at the Raiders. And we're going to get Martin on the phone now, just to have a little chat about that and the signing of the Midlands-born player by a Super League club as well. So here we go. Martin, just talk to me a little bit about like the Midlands setup and kind of, you know, how many kind of training sessions, how were the lads picked? And that kind of stuff, really.
Hi, all right. Every club in the Midlands was asked to submit nominations, 6 nominations for the Midlands squad. We eventually had 30 that trial over the 3 weeks. 21 selected from 7 different clubs. Which I thought was really good.
Yeah, really good.
We had buy-in from pretty much every club. The coaching staff was Jamie from Oxford, Jim and Mark from Boston, and myself as team manager. It was a really good setup.
And Martin, how did the lads come together? Was there any animosity amongst them, or did they gel quite well?
To be honest, it was great to see the club rivals coming together and play as a well-drilled squad. The Birminghams, the Leamingtons and the Telfords all sort of really got on and really bought into it, and there was banter throughout for all the lads, really. It was great.
Martin, obviously you can't do a great deal of like fitness work in 3 coaching sessions, but what kind of things like tactic-wise and skills-wise did you focus on during the training sessions?
We concentrated on drills and skills, defence, attack, types of plays, defensive sets, just getting the lads used to each other, to play off each other, and try and get them all thinking together. A lot of them have played together anyway. Like the halfbacks both came from Boston and had a couple from Oxford that played really well, and it's worked well together. So it was good. It was good.
Okay, so talk me through the tournament then, Martin. How did it go on the day? Who were the stronger teams? How did the Midlands get on?
The Midlands did well. In true RFL style, they didn't supply any referees. We were expecting some, but they didn't supply any. Okay. So coaches had to referee all the games. Our first game was against London, which proved to be the toughest. We matched them in defence, matched them in attack, but they won 2-0. They had a charge down from a kick and a lucky bounce. Just saw them win that game. We went on to play the West of England, where we scored. We dominated, really. We scored 5 tries to 2. And then a final game with the East of England, where it finished 2 tries apiece. We finished runners up in the group to London. It was a really high standard. We finished second, as I say. It was a very good standard of rugby league across the Midlands and the South. Definitely be competitive against the North, given the chance to prove it.
Martin, what was it like working with some of the other coaches from other clubs? Did you pick up anything? Was it nice to see how they worked?
Yeah, it was good to see the different techniques, the different drills. I'd spoken to, we'd had meetings prior to, and I've known Jamie most of the season. I've been speaking to him from, it gelled really well.
I just want to say, for what it's worth, thanks for kind of getting involved with that, because obviously without volunteers and people putting it together, it wouldn't happen, you know what I mean? But we all know that these players need a development route, they need something to aim for, and obviously without your work there, it wouldn't have been there. So, thanks for the whole Midlands community.
It's been great. I think all four of us got a lot out of it, and I know the players did as well.
Yeah.
It was definitely do it next year if I'd have to.
Yeah.
So Martin, after this then, so hopefully now the southern team should take on the northern Lionhearts. Is that a chance there to represent England, and how do you think they'll go against the northern counterparts?
In theory, that's the plan. We don't quite know what the format is yet. We're waiting for the RFL to review all the footage from the games and pick squads. So we don't really know what the format is. There is going to be, I believe, what they're calling a red v blue game. Whatever that means, none of us really know yet.
Yeah.
And as soon as we do, we'll get it out there.
Yeah.
Martin, your lad's played up north before, hasn't he? So the standard of rugby in the South and the Midlands, do you think it's catching up to the North? Do you think it's as competitive?
Oh, most definitely, yeah. I believe the England unis this year, the South actually beat the North.
Yeah. They did, yeah.
So that's sort of testament to the South, the Southern coaches, and everybody down this part of the country.
All the hard work that's been put in.
Martin, we're just going to switch stories and keep you on the line a little second if we can, and move on to our tackle 2, Karl, which, if you can introduce it, and then it'll be obvious why we've got Martin to chat as well. Yeah,
so tackle 2 is a guest we've had on in the middle of the series, Josh Hodgson, ex-Midlands lad. He's just signed a contract, Super League contract with Castleford Tigers. He's been playing for Batley Bulldogs all year. He's been one of the top try scorers. I think he got Players Player of the Year. Amazing season. One of the best players in the Championship this year. And it's just brilliant that he's been rewarded with a Super League contract. And the reason I'm sort of speaking to Martin as well is Martin used to be his former coach, didn't you?
I did, yes. When he was a 12-year-old. I coached him at Raiders from when he was 12 to 15. He went to play up north, up in Newton Storm, I believe it was, for a year or so. And then we had him back when he was under 17s.
Man, even at those young age, did you see that he had talent and they're perhaps going to go somewhere?
Yeah, he's got a really good rugby brain. He played, I think it was scrum half for me. Batley have had him in centres. His hands were really good. As I say, his rugby brain was brilliant. It was really good to coach at that age.
Would you say you taught him everything he knows, Martin?
I didn't say that, but you can if you want.
Martin, single-handedly turning out Super League players.
Well, yeah.
Okay, anything else we should have asked you there, Martin, or anything else you want to say?
Not that I can think of. No.
Okay, well, well done in your run with the Telford Raiders, and also, like I said, thanks again for your help with the regional team.
No problem.
Cheers, Martin.
Good. All right, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye. Yeah, Josh Hodgson, Super League contract's brilliant. It's a story I think we'll continue to follow next year, and I'm really excited to see how he gets on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if I dare say, it's pretty fantastic. Okay, Karl. So that leads us on to tackle 3.
So tackle 3, London Broncos defeated the Sheffield Eagles this week, 42 points to 0. Absolute whitewash it was.
Yeah.
Really, really hard hitting game. Great to see a team outside the Heartlands really pushing in the Championship, and we've got 2 teams from outside the traditional Heartlands now are in the mix for promotion. So we've got London Broncos take on Featherstone in their own backyard.
Yeah.
And then we've got Toulouse, obviously, that we want to win against Bradford Bulls. Coming up here, they're the 2 semi-final games coming up this week. And like I said, I've said this a few times, Championship rugby, the standard's just been brilliant this year.
Yeah.
There's so much going on outside of Super League. Really, if you haven't watched any of it, get down and watch one of these games. Going to be brilliant.
Amazing. And that brings us on to tackle 4.
So tackle 4, well, it's the Super League playoff time, isn't it? So we're going to bring the old prediction round back. So it's Hull KR taking on Wigan this week at Wigan, and then another side outside the Heartlands, Catalan Dragons take on St Helens, the reigning world champions.
Yeah,
St Helens. Craig, who have you got? Who do you think? Hull KR, Wigan?
My heart, I want Hull KR to win. You know, I really do. You know, my head's saying they won't. I think Wigan are just so strong. You know, I've got to give it to Wigan. Normally, they're just a big group of shithouses that bully people on the park. You know, but you know they are playing some incredible rugby. You know, and they've got some absolute stars. They've got this ability to take, you know, what might have been like an average player and just form them into like a world class player, you know, within that team, you know, that culture. And Matty P, you know, he's just what an incredible job. He's got no real heritage, has he? You know, no real sort of backstory, and then just comes in and is just, it's just an incredible
He's
job.
a really sort of cool, calm and collective sort of person, isn't he? He's sort of the complete opposite to when you had like your Sean Waynes there.
Yeah.
He seems to be a real tactical coach, and Wigan, you know, like Wigan looks so dangerous in attack this year again. It's back to the old sort of Wigan when you had like Tompkins and Charnley playing, and you just thought they could score from anywhere. And you got Jai Field and French, and they're doing exactly the same again, aren't they? They just look, whenever they get that ball in the opponent's sort of red zone, they look dangerous.
Yeah, they're recruiting really well, so I think they're going to be even stronger next year, which is scary, really, especially as a Leeds fan. Anyway, so I'm going to go Wigan, but I pray Hull KR can pull out of the bag. I think there is a chance that it'll be a bit of a whitewash as well. It just depends. You know, he only takes a couple of injuries from Hull KR, some of their key players, and they're just not going to be able to match Wigan at all. But, you know, Hull KR have been pulling out the bag all year, so...
playoff rugby, anything.
There's a chance. Yeah,
I'll go Wigan as well on that one. I can't see past Wigan.
No.
So Catalan Saints then.
I think Saints are going to pull through that. I would like to know what the outcome is of Alex Walmsley's match review panel decision, because I think that will have a bearing on the game. You know, I know he's only one player in a very, very skilled and good team, but I think he just gives them so much go forward, especially against Catalan Dragons, who, you know, they like to kind of charge it up the middle a bit, don't they? I'm going to go Saints. Very, very close game though. I really think it's going to be close.
Catalan for me.
Yeah. And why, Karl? Why are you thinking that?
No reason for that. I want them to win.
Is that right?
I just... I'd love to see him in the final again.
Yeah.
Certainly for our show, you know, we're sort of pushing rugby league outside the Heartlands. We've got more chance of getting at the grand final with our media passes if Catalan get there.
That is true.
I'm in all honesty.
Do you have a bit of allegiance with Steve McNamara, do you, Karl, or do you like to see him do well?
Yeah, I do, because I watched him at Bradford for years, didn't I?
Yeah.
And he's really developed as a head coach, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't really do much at Bradford, but again, at the time he was there, the club had no money and it would fall into pieces and all the rest of it. And I think he did what he could. But, you know, his career's really progressed. And since he's gone... When you saw a difference from McNamara when he became England coach, he sort of took the professionalism up a level or two. That's what it certainly looked like.
Yeah.
And he's carried that on with Catalan, and great club.
Yeah. He's done a real good job at Catalan, I think. Okay, on to tackle 5.
Tackle 5 just links in really well. Then Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook, he's going to equal Rob Burrows' playing record. No, he's going to beat Rob Burrows' playing record this week. So he's currently on 429 appearances. So he'll hit 430 league appearances if he's selected this week, which I'm sure he will be. And I've got a bit of a rundown of the rest of them. Do you want to know them? Well, second time we've recorded this, so you already know, don't you?
Yeah. I can't guess, can I? 'Cause I know.
So James Roby is the GOAT. 494 appearances he's currently played, which is just
crazy.
The guy's just made of steel. Kevin Sinfield, 454. Andy Lynch, 452.
Who's the surprise entry, I think, in my mind.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
he's gone under the radar, hasn't he, Andy Lynch? Played a couple of clubs, but Paul Wellens, 439. Old Jamie Peacock, 438. Leon, 432.
You did first name terms, are you, with Leon?
I am, actually. I used to play with his brother.
All right.
Yeah, Karl played for the same local side as me.
All right.
Anyway, carry on. Ben Westwood at 430. So, Lou McCarthy-Scarsbrook will equal Westwood's record this week if selected.
And that's amazing to have a Londoner, up there in the stats like that. You know what I mean? When we're talking about like expanding the game, developing the game, to have someone who's fundamentally from outside the heartlands up there is incredible. You know?
And you get him on TV and he doesn't sound like the rest of them, does he? Well, when he's not swearing anyway.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting story, actually, with Scarsbrook. I think he played for a team called Greenwich, and I think that side was sort of created out of wherever London Broncos were based, because London have moved a number of times.
They're Fulham. You're starting Fulham,
but they've been all over the place, haven't they?
Yeah.
And that club was set up by the chairman of London Broncos after London Broncos moved to another area, because he still wanted to have some roots, what they'd created over the years.
Yeah.
So it's great that he sort of came through that, and he played for Harlequins, London Broncos when they were called Harlequins. He came up through the academy, and then it's been at Saints, I think, since 2011. So, somebody I'm trying to get on the podcast as well. But
how is it? Yeah.
Saints are answering my emails.
How dare they?
I have to take a different tactic, I think.
Well, get Leon on the case. Okay, so on to tackle 6.
Tackle 6, Tom Tassang from Coventry Bears. He used to be the head coach of Coventry Bears, really well known in the Midlands area. He's just been given another 2-year contract at Huddersfield Giants. He's done a really great job with the academy there, and like I say, he's been rewarded with another 2-year contract. If you speak to anybody in the Midlands, they'll speak really highly of him. And
is he a Midlands lad then, is he?
I do believe so. He's from Solihull, I believe.
Right.
Don't quote me on that 100%. I know he coached Coventry Bears, and he was influential in bringing them from being sort of an amateur club, bringing them into League One. He's blooded quite a lot of sort of talented Midlands lads up into sort of Super League clubs and things like that. So, great story for him, great story for the Midlands.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Of the sort of final thing I've got is the Women's Super League.
Yeah.
The grand finals this week. We're going to be there. York versus Leeds. Really looking forward to that one. Women's League, again, it's been terrific this year.
Yeah, it has, obviously, I'll be hoping Leeds kind of win. But I'd love watching the women's game. Not because of the bloody stereotypical or, but like, I don't know if you've been watching the NRLW games that have been on.
I've watched a few of them.
Yeah, it's like football. I don't like to talk about football in this podcast, but the women's game is just kicking on. Excuse the pun. Every season, it's just getting better and better and better.
It's not a sellout yet, but apparently tickets are flying out.
No, I can believe it.
There's going to be a massive crowd there this week.
Yeah, because it's becoming a spectacle. It's becoming a great sport to watch. There's big collisions. There's plenty of skill. Some of the passing is just absolutely, spot on. Just a great sport to watch. So I'm looking forward to it.
So I'm saying what we'll have an update on the women's grand final, won't we, in the next coming weeks?
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done tackles. We've done 7 tackles now, Karl.
Yeah.
I suppose you've got an 8th one on you now.
I told you that I can't count.
Okay, so we're gonna just do a little bit of a summary of Karl's recent experience at the League One final. So you went up there, Karl. You got in your little private media parking space, which I bet that was good. You didn't have to mess around with parking. Just talk to me a little bit about the atmosphere as you kind of approaching the game. What was the crowd like? Did it feel like there was a big event going on? What was happening?
Oh yeah, it felt like a massive event. So I got stuck in traffic for one because there were that many cars trying to get into the stadium. It looked bustling. It felt like a big event when you got there. It didn't feel like some of the League One games I've been to this year without sort of running it down. It doesn't always feel like high level, rugby. But when you got there to the League One final, it's a fantastic stadium in Doncaster. Absolutely heaving. There was kids outside in the Crusaders shirts, in the Doncaster shirts. Flags are waving, people selling sort of merchandise on the outside. I got into the stadium and I sort of come through the sort of players' side of the stadium, and the crowd was on the other side, and you walked out and the noise just hit you. It was like absolutely buzzing. The full stand of people all along the one side, really sort of proper party atmosphere is what I'd call it. And there was the trophy was set up. The sort of photographers everywhere. It really felt like a big occasion. There was sort of like kids doing the haka, loads of entertainment going on. They had the massive flags out. Yeah, it was cracking atmosphere.
Yeah, and I think I'm right in saying that like the Crusaders weren't expected to be there, was they? I mean, when they started off, they had a terrible run of form at the start of the season. Just give us a bit of a rundown on like the setup to this final.
Yeah, so if I sort of paint a picture of sort of what this final was, you had sort of Doncaster who spent big. What they've spent compared to what Crusaders spent is probably miles apart. You got like Maher Fanua, Brett Ferres, Connor Robinson came in from York this year.
Mccarthy-Scarsbrook.
Yeah, just
not always easy to say.
Yeah. So they've got real big name players, and they're expected to be up that top end of the table. I think they're probably disappointed they didn't get automatic promotion.
Yeah,
and they've had to go through the playoff final. So yeah, you would have expected them to be there. It was their third time at this as well. So they lost 2 years ago to Workington, and they lost last year to Swinton. So this were their sort of third crack at it. And then on the other hand, you had North Wales Crusaders, who nobody expected them to be there, without being disrespectful. Didn't win any of the first 7 games. They had problems with the stadium. They've had loads of adversity. They couldn't play. So I think the first 7 games were all away.
Yeah.
And then the
Rest. That's gonna unsettle any team, innit? Especially at the start of a season.
Yeah. So and then I think their first win came against the Midlands, which we were at earlier on this year. And that they cracked on from that point onwards. And then they started picking up some wins, few losses. Then they had a dip in form. And then I think it was they went to Cornwall, and after the Cornwall game, that was it. They won 5 or 6 straight just to progress through the playoffs. And they were the lowest ranked team in the playoffs, so they had to play every round in the playoffs. I've got them here, the games that sort of played. So they played Workington. So the first game they went to Workington away.
Tough gig for anybody.
Flipping heck, real hostile place. Never an easy place to go. Nobody expected them to win. They turned over Workington. They then went to Oldham the week after, won by a drop goal in that one. And then the semi-final, they beat Hunslet. There were another drop goal kicked in that as well. They beat Hunslet 18 points to 25. So yeah, they just went on this this underdog run, and every week nobody expected them to win, and they just kept winning, and they kept winning, and they kept winning, and so they had all the momentum going into this final. So yeah, it was the team you expect to be there against this team that just couldn't seem to put a foot wrong. So it was really exciting, made for a really exciting final.
So right from the kickoff, I mean, what was the kind of main bullet points of the game itself?
So I'll be honest, Doncaster really just they came out of the blocks firing. I was watching the warm-ups of both teams, and they were both they were just on it, like hitting the tackle shields, whacking them. They were proper pumped when it started. But once the game started, Doncaster were a lot stronger. They ruled the field position over and over again. And Donny scored first. Maher Fanua scored out wide to take Doncaster's lead. Robinson kicked the goal, brilliant kick from the touchline, and then they got a penalty kick. I think it was 8-0 at half time, and the first 20 minutes was all Doncaster. Crusaders, they got the ball, but they was always in their own half, and the Donny defence was steel. It was like a wall. They didn't put a foot wrong in defence all that first half, and it sort of. You kind of thought, Doncaster, they're just going to take this.
They just seem to have the momentum.
They were a level above, but then things changed in the second half. And at this point, I did interview some of the Crusaders fans at half time, and we'll show that clip now.
Okay, I'm here with Gary and Mark. It's half time at the League One final. Guys, first of all, we'll talk about the game today. How do you think you guys are getting on?
We put up a pretty good show in the first half. Very strong Doncaster side. There's some big lads out there. We've done well to defend and keep it to 8-0, I think.
Yeah.
We were coming strong at the last end, so I think the second half will be a lot closer.
So you pretty much had the underdog story all year round. Do you think that's something you can sort of work on, and you got a chance in the second half? Are you still confident?
Yeah, I think so. We've come through all the playoffs as underdogs, and it's 8-0.
Yeah.
So we're still well within the game, and I think our lads are fit. And I'm confident for the second half, to be honest.
Okay, excellent. Looking back at the season, I sort of spoke to a couple of you guys midway point of the season, and there were a lot of unhappy fans. It wasn't quite going how you wanted it. I know you'd had problems with the ground and stuff like that. But the coach has really turned the season around. Do you agree?
Yeah, we were 0 from 7 at the start. We only had 2 home games at Ferres Park in Colwyn Bay. And just amazing after that. We had that loss against Cornwall, and I think that really sparked the lads on.
Yeah.
They must have something must have been said in the dressing rooms, and they've won every game ever since. The way they played in the playoffs has just been amazing, and they've got all this lot behind us supporting. I mean, it's amazing.
I'm going to say I'm trying my best to hear you, but the fans behind you have been absolutely terrific all day. Probably 1-8 for the stadium here, and they're making more noise than the rest of them. Is that something that the Crusaders can be proud of? The real loyal fan base that they've got.
I think so. Some of the fans can't get to every game, myself included, but we've been there since the inception. 2012, I was one of the original squads that went into Huddersfield to say we had a squad. None of us could play, but we lodged a squad. And just look at the guys up there, they're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Week in, week out, whether they can be there or not, they'll follow it online. They're just phenomenal, and noisy.
Yeah, very, very noisy, Welsh spirit. Right, guys, cheers for talking to me, and I wish you all best of luck in the second half.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so what you might recognise one of the fans there that you spoke to. I mean, we spoke to him, or you spoke to him earlier in the year at the Midlands game, and just done a charity bike ride.
Yeah, he'd done. He raised a few £1,000 actually. I was speaking to him, so yeah, brilliant for him for motor neuron disease. Yeah, brilliant that he did that. But yeah, I spoke to these guys earlier on in the season. And they weren't happy. They'd stuck by their side all year. But when we spoke to them earlier on the year, everything was going wrong. They weren't winning. There was just they basically said they'd gone backwards from the year before. But as you've seen from that clip, they were 8-0 down, and they didn't think they were going to lose. They were so optimistic.
Yeah.
They were now on this underdog run.
Yeah.
That they were going to take this game, and I also spoke to a couple of Doncaster fans at half time, and they were all wary, even though they were, because 8-0 is such a slim lead, isn't it? It could have gone either way.
You try a couple of penalties, you're done, aren't you?
Yeah, and then second half kicked off. Crusaders had loads of possession, and they came knocking at this point. It was they were just hammering the Doncaster line.
Yeah.
But testament to Doncaster, as they were in the first half, their defence was absolutely solid, and they just didn't let them through. Robinson broke the deadlock. I think he put somebody through. Lou McConnell he put through, which made it 14-0. And at that point, you kind of saw the win was going to Doncaster at that point. Crusaders did score at the end. So near the end, I think it finished 18 points to 6. It was in the end. Great final though, really great final, and it meant so much to the Doncaster fans. But I've got to take my hats off to the Crusaders fans, because they didn't stop singing all the way through the game. Even at the end, when the trophy was being lifted, they were still up in that top right-hand corner, banging the drums. Yeah, so a really successful season for both clubs, I think. Fantastic final.
Yeah, and you caught up with a few people there. So first and foremost, you spoke to Brett Ferres, obviously former Super League player, was at Leeds, as well as other clubs. Good to chat to him. Karl, was it?
Yeah, it was very humble. He's worked very hard to get him back into the Championship. I think the fans really, they've really took to him. He's worked really hard for him this year.
Yeah, so here's that clip now.
Well, Brett, finally done it. Been a tough old season. We've had to go through playoffs, but you're finally there. You've got to be absolutely ecstatic with a win.
Yeah, just delighted for the team, obviously, and the club. And Karl Hall has been working so hard for years now to get this club promoted. And so we're sitting here like today, and you saw the emotion of him and stuff, and crying. And it's just been a great day. And obviously, we've had a really tough season. Yeah. We've done it the hard way, but we've done it now. So yeah, really pleased.
Supporters have stuck through you through thick and thin, and they've been absolutely amazing today. They've been the 18th man almost, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been class to get a turnout like this for us. But obviously it's a predominant football town as such. It's fantastic. So yeah, it's great. And hopefully now we can keep some of these fans and hopefully get them here next year and supporting the champ.
Quickly for yourself, career-wise, going again next year?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Playing big minutes every week, and hopefully I'm not doing a disservice to myself and to the boys. So yeah, I want to keep playing, and hopefully it's here, and have a good camp, a good crack at the champ next year. And like I say, it's just been a great day today for us.
Yeah, all the best anyway. Thank you very much.
Okay, so from there you left, and you had like a bit of a rugby league double header, because you nipped down the motorway to the Sheffield-London match. No. You nipped down the road to another game. Which game was that?
I went to the Sheffield and Bradford game after that. So so it was a bit of a busy afternoon, but yeah, luckily I was South Yorkshire, did a little tour of South Yorkshire, went down to the Sheffield game, and that was exciting. Have you ever been to Sheffield's ground, the new ground?
Not the new one, no.
So it's like, if I paint a picture, it's really small, but it's all new.
Yeah,
and it's like it's got one stand down the Legacy Park Arena, it's called. So you've got the one stand down the main side, and then it's got like grass bankings all around the other end. It feels like when you go there on a summer's night, it feels like you're going to watch like an NRL game or something. Yeah. So you got a few NRL grounds like that. But it's only small, but it's got a really good atmosphere. And the sort of story of the day is Sheffield Eagles were wearing their white and blue kit, the traditional kit with the big eagle that goes right across it.
Was that the Challenge Cup? That was a Challenge Cup winning shirt, was it?
I looked back on this earlier. No, it wasn't.
Right.
But I'll tell you why, you'll recognise it in a minute. So Mark Addy, the actor out of Full Monty, he was there bringing the match ball on for the game because he wore the famous Eagle shirt in the film. Yeah. And I managed to catch a few minutes with him, and the clip's here.
Okay, I'm at Olympic Legacy Park, and Buckets and all the other than Mark Addy, and
Real surprised to see you. Are you a lifelong Eagles fan, or is it just the generally worried?
Do you know what? It's the shirt that we're wearing. It sort of means a lot to see the Eagles wearing it today. I mean, the British act is sweating out. Very proud well that.
After starting into the game so far, are you enjoying it?
It's tight, yeah. You know, it's very still. You don't want to make too many mistakes. And like, it's going to be tough to it. It's yeah, well, fingers crossed for the Eagles second half and see how they do.
Okay, all right. We got some Rugby League cheerleaders or anything?
No. This is the first time I've been sitting here working in yeah, I don't have much opportunity. It's nice to do that.
Like that. Well, it's really nice to see you, especially wearing the famous.
It's been incredible who you've been talking to and kind of chatting to. So yeah, it would be great to listen to, you know, a clear fan of rugby league, and you know, not just turned up with a shirt on, has he? He knows a bit about it.
Yeah, it sort of made the game quite a big occasion. It was a cracking match, to be honest with you, as well. But I'm going to throw something over to you here. So that Eagle shirt, for me, that's one of my favourite all-time rugby shirts. I think it's so iconic.
Yeah.
You know, it made famous by the film as well, obviously, because he wore it in the film. I'll throw something over to you. What do you think's one of the most iconic rugby league shirts?
Iconic? Well, I mean, there's so many, isn't there? Yeah, my favourite shirt at the minute is... I mean, so many iconic shirts, isn't there? But my favourite shirt at the minute...
Sydney Roosters,
is
not South Sydney.
The Sydney Roosters shirt. I just think it's really stylish, really modern. You know, I love the colours. And then if I was to say, like, you know, an iconic shirt, unfortunately I'm staying in Australia as well, but any of the later New South Wales shirts, I just love. I love the colour of it,
They're
the
boring
blue.
though, aren't they?
But they're
Not boring there, is it?
but it's iconic. You said iconic.
It is iconic.
And there's a ton of iconic shirts.
The graphic designer didn't do much, did he? He went, light blue press. The Eagle shirts, like...
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that was from an era where everyone was getting in on it. You know what I mean? There was like some crazy shirts.
Do you know when they wore that shirt?
When?
So the first ever game of Super League, they wore that shirt. Can you remember who they were playing for points in the Rugby League Outsiders quiz?
I'm going to say Halifax.
No, miles away.
Bradford.
No, miles away.
Miles away?
Get over Channel.
Okay, now.
Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah,
PSG.
it's Paris Saint-Germain. So that was the first ever game of Super League.
All right.
Sheffield Eagles versus PSG.
Yeah.
I'll give you another 2 points if you can guess get close to the attendance.
Attendance.
You won't believe this.
What, high?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 22,500.
Well, not that high, but it went nearly 18,000.
Wow.
For the first game of Super League.
They must have just
Paris
thought...
Saint-Germain versus Sheffield Eagles.
This is going to be like our nines competition next year. There's going to be all the signs. It's just going to be great. They're going to be there. Yeah. I'm not saying there's going to be 18,000 people there. Don't get me wrong.
we haven't got a stadium that big.
Yeah. Anything else to say on the match, Karl? What about you've obviously mentioned the Sheffield Eagles shirt was the most iconic. What is your favourite shirt
of all time? I actually think it's probably that Eagles shirt. I'm not an Eagles fan, but it's an awesome shirt, that is.
Yeah.
I don't think there were a badge on it either. It was just literally the badge was eagle. The eagle coming right down side. What other ones were good? I think the old Wigan shirt, to be fair, was quite good. I know I don't like Wigan either.
No, but it's just
the Martin Fire era and
the Norweb era.
Yeah, and there was the England again, same era.
Yeah, I was going to pick out the England shirt.
The England shirt from sort of the 90s, wasn't it? With the I think it was a Puma kit with the George's cross on the side. That was a really iconic kit. Stood out. Should I think of any others? Balmain Tigers back in the day. I never watched Balmain, but that's a really kit that really stands out. Just the orange with the sort of black hoops on the side.
We'll throw it out to the comments. We'll throw it out to the comment section, and if anyone else has got like an iconic shirt, either share a picture of it or put what it is. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, God, there's so many shirts. I mean, you know, if you Google
we could probably do a special episode on that.
Well, what we could do is that when the clubs release their shirts next year, we could rate the shirts from best to worst in our opinion. Idea. You know what I mean? And I've seen other
Catalan have had a lot of good shirts as well.
Yeah, well, they've got great colours, haven't they? They've got a great
red and the gold. Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the stage of the show where we start to have a little bit of a look forward as to what's coming up in the future. So by the time this episode goes out, we will have prepared and uploaded a very special episode for Mental Health Day, which is coming up on the 10th of October. Yeah. Now, we recorded a very special episode with 2 rugby players, one union, one league, Dan Robinson and George Whittaker, and they were very, very candid about their struggles with mental health, to the point where, you know, they considered suicide. You know, one of the guys really heavily into drugs and alcohol, and he shares all his experience there. And George as well has got, he developed like an obsessive compulsive behavior, which, you know, is really, really insightful. So make sure you watch out for that and just share it, because there's a hell of a lot of lads, you know, rugby league, you know, predominantly lads involved with it. And there's a lot of lads out there struggling because of societal reasons and all that. We don't feel like we can talk about it and sort of this, you know, get on with it. What's the matter with you? But it's got to change, because there's a lot of lads out there struggling. Karl, what do you remember from that episode? Like, what do you think people are going to get from it?
I found it really sort of inspirational how brutally honest the 2 lads were, to be honest with you. Felt a little bit uncomfortable at times listening to what they had to say.
Well, I mean, we got hit by an absolute sidewinder within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I won't spoil it now, watch it, but, you know, just absolutely did not expect the words that came out of Dan's mouth. So,
I think when we started this podcast, never in a million years would I thought I'd have been sat there listening to what I was being told. But, you know, great on them that they've done this episode to hopefully help other people. So it's inspirational watch.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible episode to watch, so make sure you don't miss it. That's going to be on the 10th of October, okay, so look out for that. We've also got a little bit of a road trip coming up this weekend. Karl, fill us in on that.
Yeah, we're going up to York, so it's the women's grand final, York Valkyrie versus Leeds Rhinos. It's the first game of women's rugby I've got to watch live this year. Well, certainly Super League level it is. And I can't wait, to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a lot of time for the women's game. I'll watch a lot of it, and not just because of the usual funny crack, because the standard of women's rugby is just going up and up, and it's great to watch. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean it's the women's game's been massive this year, hasn't it? We had the first Challenge Cup final that was played at Wembley. We've got this standalone final now this year. It's not an undercard to a men's grand final or anything like that. It's a standalone final in a stadium that's expected to be absolutely packed.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I really can't wait. And I'm really looking. I hope that we manage to get a couple of interviews and bring it back to the show next week.
Have you got an eye on a particular team that you'd like to win, Karl?
Not Leeds. No, do you know what? I'm not bothered. I'm just hoping for a close game. I think York are probably gonna. I think they've just got it on Leeds. I think the last game they played was a draw, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a cracker. So I'm just going there to be entertained.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
Well, and they're both star-studded teams, aren't they? You know, they've got some quality players in the teams. I'll, of course, be supporting Leeds. So, anyway, we'll report back from that. We've also got our feelers out to try and get to some of the other games that are coming up, both wheelchair and Super League games. So, you know, hopefully we'll get up and experience those and just try and get a different angle from what you'd normally see from, you know, perhaps the telly or other podcasts and other shows and what have you, and we'll try and hunt out the players, the staff, you know, the volunteers, the people in the crowd that are from outside the heartlands, because fundamentally that's what we like to talk about. So you excited, Karl, about the next few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, we'd almost talked about wrapping it up at this point, haven't we? And then all of a sudden, there's that much going on. We couldn't possibly stop now. So yeah, we're on a roll, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Okay, Karl. Anything else to add?
No, other than the Midlands Nines website is starting to be developed now, isn't it? We're working hard behind the scenes to get that going next year. We are going to be putting a bit of a questionnaire out, aren't we, to sort of get feelers what people want from the weekend, recommended dates. I mean, we're working with the RFL as well, aren't we, to try and make sure it doesn't coincide with the season and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what we're looking at doing is having, some good entertainment, a good day on the back of some great rugby, so we wanted some quality teams there. We are going to be limited on numbers, so it really is going to be first come, first served. But if you want to get involved in the Midlands Nines, wherever you are, even, throughout the world, I think Brazilian teams and all sorts of teams turn up for the London Nines, and we'd like that to be similar in the Midlands in the future. So we will talk about this more in depth in the future, but we'll look out for those announcements and those updates on the social media. So until the next episode, from me, take care.
From me, take care. Call me out then.
That's the final whistle for this week's episode of the Rugby League Outsiders. We hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on social media and share this podcast with your friends. And as always, if you have a story to tell, a club to plug, or a player that deserves recognition, we want to hear from you. So until next time on the Rugby League Outsiders, take care.